Hi everybody and welcome back to Redline. For the last week I've been driving this McLAREN 765LT Spider, and then a couple of days ago the new Honda Civic Type R arrived on test, and it got me thinking. For a long time now I've been saying that hot hatchbacks are just as much fun to drive as big scary supercars. So while we've got the two cars together, why don't we quickly head out in the McLAREN, refresh ourselves with it, see what it's like, and then dive in the Honda, do a review, and really see once and for all if a hot hatch is just as much fun as a supercar. So we're starting in the McLAREN. Now I'm going to be really brief here because we have already reviewed this car and there'll be a link popping up above me round about now. If you want to go watch that video, go take a look. But while we've still got it, let's just address how much fun it has been having this car for the last week. Huge amount of fun, massive amount of performance, just ridiculous straight line speed. All the engagement you could ever want from a road car. Amazing steering, incredible brakes. This thing is just a complete package. The only frustration that I really have with it is that you can't utilize any of this properly on the public road. You have to take this thing to a racetrack in order to extract the performance, not just from a straight line perspective, but from a going round a corner perspective. At best, you're only ever using, I don't know, 30, 40%, not even anywhere near that on the public road, 20, 30% max. That's all you're using out here. So yeah, I suspect in the Honda, we'll be able to use a lot more of that performance, a lot more regularly, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this thing is just bonkers and a lot of fun. Right, that was fun. Let's go get in the Honda. So then, to the Type R. Can we have just as much fun in this hot hatchback as we can a supercar? Well, to answer that, first of all, we must explore some of the differences between this and the car it replaces, the old Honda Civic Type R, the FK8. Now, the first major difference concerns the driving modes. So, as in the old one, you've got Comfort, Sport, and Plus R. But now in this new car, we have an individual mode, which I've now selected, and it allows you to customize the different parameters of the driving experience. So what I've done is I've put everything into Plus R, but the steering and most importantly the suspension has been put into Comfort. This means we've got all the response and all the drivability of the car in its most aggressive setting, but the suspension is now far more compliant, and the steering in Plus R it's a bit overly heavy, so we've just slackened that off a little bit. And what that means is that this car now breathes down a country road in a way that the old FK8 just couldn't. In the old car, you'd find a B road just like this one, and where it would skip and hop over some of the bigger bumps, and ultimately at the ragged edge you would lose a little bit of confidence with it. In this one, it just feels so much more supple, and it really gives you the confidence to push on in the FL5 in a way that you couldn't in the FK8. And once you're able to do that, you're able to have so much fun because there's plenty of grip, plenty of straight line performance, and the front end in this thing is just magical. You pile it into a corner, you turn the wheel, you get on the throttle, and the diff just pulls you out of the corner and slingshots you into the next one. It is such a great car to drive, so engaging. And that's always been the magic of the Type R, that you can sling it around and have a huge amount of fun in it. And in most instances, it never feels phased. And now with this new car, with the new configurable suspension, it takes that to the next level. What a thing. However, over a country road like this, is it fair to say that I'm having as much fun in this Type R as I would be in that 765LT? Well, there's a short and there's a long answer. The short answer is yes, yes I am. The long answer is we've kind of got to delve into why. Now, as I said before, one of the frustrations that I had with that McLaren was that you're never really using that much of the available performance. Where in this thing, we've got 324 brake horsepower and 310 foot-pounds. And I mean, it offers us a lot of grip, but not to the same level as that McLaren. So what we're able to do here is extract a higher percentage of the available performance, which in itself is hugely rewarding. Does that mean this is as fast as a McLaren? Absolutely not. However, that doesn't mean it's any less fun. I mean, once a McLaren, particularly that 765LT, once any supercar gets onto a straight bit of road, it would just disappear. But in the corners, it certainly wouldn't drop one of these. And of course, on a racetrack, I mean, it would be in a different league entirely compared to this, but nevertheless, out on the public road, those differences in performance really do diminish. And yeah, it really goes to show that you can have just as much fun in a Type R as you can any of the big bad supercars that you can buy today. Another joy with this car is that we have a lovely 6-speed manual gearbox, and dare I say, it feels even better than it used to in the FK8. The shift is it just feels that little bit slicker, but it's still super tactile. You can still feel it breaching the gate. And as I said before, it rev matches on the down change for you as well. A little bit lazy, I know, I can heel and toe, but this gets it 100% right, 100% of the time. Whereas me, I'm okay, but I'm not perfect. The steering in this car's great, front end goes where you want it to. I'm loving this Alcantara rim as well. Body control right up there. Oh, this is a really, really compelling thing. And also the straight line performance. 0 to 60 in this car, 0 to 62 rather, is now 5.4 seconds, and the top speed is 171 miles an hour in a hot hatchback, in a front wheel drive hot hatchback. That's just outrageous. And it's really funny, you get out of the McLaren and you get into this, and that thing's a ridiculously fast car in a straight line, like hypercar fast. And I'm not trying to say this thing is anywhere near that in a straight line, but I didn't get out of that and into this and feel immediately shortchanged. I still felt like I had more than enough performance for the public road here, and there's enough boost in this car to kind of give you that little rush as well. And yeah, it's a really strong engine, loads of performance, and yeah, it just goes to show that this is not a slow car by any stretch of the imagination. Other comments to make on this car, first of all, refinement is up on the old FK8. This interior is much nicer. We've still got physical buttons, but the infotainment screen and system has been updated. I think there's less road noise in this car than the old one. The wheels are smaller, they're now 19 inches instead of 20s. So I do think that's just toned down the road noise a little bit in this car. The suspension's still quite rigid in comfort, so you can feel how tightly sprung the car is. So when you go over some of the really nasty stuff, it does feel a bit unforgiving. I think you notice it more in comfort because you are expecting a more compliant riding comfort, and then you don't get it, and you just think, well, it could be a little bit more supple. But I think you notice it less when you're really on it, when you're really hooning down a back road like I am right now. I think that's perception more than anything. I don't know if you can hear that, but I really do love that rev matching feature. It sounds excellent. I think they're piping a little bit more noise into the cabin than they did before, potentially. One thing I will say, I think traction is improved. I don't think this thing's fighting for grips so much as, well, a bit like the old car did. Especially on a slightly greasier surface. I may be wrong, I've probably got to drive them back to back to give you a definitive answer on that, but I don't think the wheels are spinning up quite as much as it did in the old one. But yeah, overall, what a thing to drive. So to summarise, I want to summarise on two things actually. First of all, is this an improvement over the old FK8, a car which we spent a lot of time in, a car that we really loved here at Redline? Yes, I think it is. I think some of those improvements are marginal, but they all add up to create a car which is a step on from the one that it replaces, especially in terms of the configuration, being able to configure the suspension. Definitely a big improvement there. And the second question, am I having as much fun in this as I am in a supercar? Yeah, yes I am. And that doesn't mean if you own a supercar, you should go and trade it for a Honda Civic Type R. Absolutely not, because one thing that you don't have here, which you do in, say, well, the McLaren, for example, is the shock and awe of the speed and how competent and how fast it is. You don't get that same feeling in this car. Instead, you extract more of the available performance. You appreciate that you can push it harder without risking your license so much. You enjoy it in a different way than you do a supercar. So no, you definitely shouldn't be trading in your McLarens, your Ferraris and your Lamborghinis for one of these. But nevertheless, if you've got, what is this car now, 47 grand to spend on a do-it-all, all-round hot hatchback, you're not going to feel shortchanged by the experience, I'll tell you that now. Anyway, if you like this video, thanks for watching. Make sure you give it a like, and please do subscribe to the channel. As always, we've got more content coming your way, and we'll see you in the next one.